When Steel talks, everybody listens.
This is When Steel Talks, and we are in the Panyard of Metro Steel Orchestra in Brooklyn, New York. Metro Steel Orchestra is returning to the New York panorama scene after their last performance in 2002. This is 2011. The arranger of choice for this return is Seion Gomez, well known on the Caribbean scene as a championship arranger. Welcome to When Steel Talks. It's the first time that we're actually having the chance to sit down with you face to face, Seon. I mean, we've shared a lot with you with the global steelpan community via write-in interviews and also on the telephone, but it's good to sit down face to face. So welcome to the When Steel Talks community and on the global platform.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about your successes for 2011, which have been considerable thus far. You're fresh off the St. Vincent National Steelband Panorama with a championship under your belt for Seion Steel Orchestra. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You also have had Buccaneers in the medium category, third place out of Tobago in the Trinidad and Tobago National Panorama Championship, and second place with Meritone Steel Orchestra in the small steel orchestra category. But also we should mention that you have two championships under your belt with Meritone Steel Orchestra from prior years, and there's a whole lot more that goes into Seon. So we just want to revisit how Seion Gomez came to be from the time you really got interested in music, the steelpan art form, your time at NIU, where you are today.
All right. Basically, it all started at the school level. Well, my father still is, in the steel band arena, and he was actually, his name is Anthony Gomez.
Okay.
He was a member of the steelpan group. And just by him coming home, bringing a pan home, I would go on it, learn the tunes. He would teach me new tunes and stuff like that. And I started playing in school, at the primary level. I left primary school, went to the secondary school, and started to learn to read and write, the theory of
Everything
music.
connected with music, right?
Right. I entered school junior steel band festival competitions as a soloist. In those days, it was highly competitive.
Yeah.
Those days, you had people like Arden, but so when you see those guys, Sean, Thomas,
it's a lineup of formidable folks.
Yeah. So I had my share of experience in terms of the competition level, competition junior level, When I left secondary school, the music teacher at my primary school asked me if I would like to come in and just teach the young ones, to play. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And that developed into a whole different arena,
And as well, it showed you that there was indeed a career opportunity, a music path fully in the steelband art form, something that's not really afforded to a whole lot of people, even though they'd really like the opportunity.
Right.
So from teaching at that point?
So at 17, 18 years old, every Friday, instead of going online somewhere, I was at the school teaching. And I started to really like the whole idea of arranging. And I went deeper and deeper into it. With the school, took them to the festival, the junior festival.
Highly competitive, we must know.
At their level, primary school level. And actually won the competition the first time around, won the second time around.
Which school was this?
It was Diamondville Government Primary.
Okay.
And my third year, I actually, that's when I got accepted to NIU. So I did the music and left, They came second that time. But that was the beginning of another phase of my life, at NIU. Went to NIU, and I will never give up that experience for anything in the
Very formative.
Yeah, it wasn't just about music, but it was a whole change of the way
You
I
think
thought of things,
business aspect, the professionalism.
everything, and I must say, meeting Cliff Alexis, Liam Teague, it changed me, as a person in many different ways, and I'm really grateful to them, the people at NIU, like Dr. Wooten, there's Robert Chappell, there are people who I met. Al O'Connor, another person I have to mention and thank, and most importantly, the person who actually gave me opportunity in terms of finance. I had a scholarship through a German company by the name of Fitzwarner. They gave me a part scholarship, which got me out of Trinidad.
Right.
And another gentleman by the name of Mr. Triller, Les Triller.
From Triller Steel Jobs.
Right. He became
A mentor.
Yeah, real close to Liam and I, and I can never stop thanking them, these people, for the opportunities that
Afforded to you.
That's right.
So upon leaving NIU, but you were also arranging at the same point.
Well, I was
Americans-
arranging at the same point. Well, not at that point. When I did my first degree, I couldn't leave to go back home for carnival or anything like that. So I just had to stick it out. Carnival time, it was like
You're beating the books.
like it's a banquet period for me.
I understand.
So I did my first degree, and I went back home, promising that I'll just take a year off and go back. Well, that year turned into 5 years, and I traveled all over the world, doing workshops, performing, stuff like teaching, lectures, stuff like that. And Cliff was like, hey,
You need to get back
need to get
here
back
and
here.
take care of business, educational
that's
business.
right. And so I did go back and did my master's. During my master's, I was afforded the time to go back to Trinidad to do my arrangements. This is when I worked at Meritones. And first 2 years I worked at Meritones, they won.
Excellent.
Which was a happy time for me, because it was actually a period I needed stepping stones, and all these things were stepping stones
In your growth process.
in my growth process, right? During that period, I was like the happiest person in life, because I was doing everything I liked doing. I was being successful. It was a challenge going to school and doing arrangements. I always had to make up classes and stuff like that, but the hard work paid off. I graduated my master's and went back home, and now I'm at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, just trying to impart whatever little knowledge I may have acquired.
So are you an educator at the University of
I
Trinidad
am.
and Tobago?
I am.
Alright, okay. How did the arranging commitment with Meritones come about, very briefly?
It was basically Kendall Lewis. He called me one day and he asked me if I would be interested in arranging for Meritones next year. Sure, yeah. I jumped it. It was an opportunity for me to start. I was
really getting into the
right,
conventional.
the conventional, because I was arranging for Scrunter's pan group at the time.
Single pan band.
Single pan band. So it was an opportunity, another opportunity, to get into the conventional. So I jumped at it.
You're in New York now, and how did this opportunity come about in terms of coming here to essentially a one and done, as the New York Panorama is known, because there's no preliminary, no semifinals, just one night. How did this opportunity come together?
2 years ago, this gentleman and a young lady came up to me in Trinidad, and they were like, we know your name, we know what you do, we've been watching you. Can we have a phone number for you? I was like, who are you know? And he was like, I am so and so, we're from Antonic Steel Orchestra. And we might have some interest in you coming to work with bands or whatever. Cool. I did hear from them like a year later. And we were trying to make arrangements for me to come and work with Pantonics. It so happened that fell through, it didn't happen that way. And this year again, while I'm walking up the track with Buccaneers.
On the drag in Trinidad?
Yeah, on the drag in Trinidad. He comes again and he's like, we're ready for you this year, but it may not be Pantonics, we're going to start back Metro Steel Orchestra. So I was like, well,
you're available.
Yeah, I'm cool, just let me know what's up, so I can schedule my stuff.
And now you're here.
Now I'm here.
Tune of choice, Calling Me. Did you have any input into that?
Well, my preference really wasn't Calling Me, seeing that I did it in Trinidad, They liked it, and I was kind of trying to get out of it because I did it already. I was trying to do something else. And they were real insistent that, hey, you really like this tune.
So we're here.
So I was like, you know what? No problem, let's go to it, So I started, I did the verse and chorus, and I sent it for them. And I think they did it, they put it down. And I came in afterward and just continued from there. So,
how far along are you right now, considering we're just about 2 weeks away from the New York Panorama?
Right now we are into the second key. So we have some work, but we'll get there.
What is different in terms of your arranging on the New York Panorama scene now that you're here and your experiences in Trinidad thus far that you've noticed?
In Trinidad, it's a lot more focused. The focus is more on the band coming together and doing this thing together and winning together. New York is, I understand the importance of life, let's put it that way, and a lot of people they will have to balance themselves in terms of working and coming to play. And as a band leader, you would have to, be satisfied with the fact that, hey, you have that commitment of the players that they're coming. You just have to kind of work with them in terms of their time. So in that aspect, it's different. In New York, as opposed to the
focus back in Trinidad, where almost work might seem to take just
not necessarily. I wouldn't say work takes a back seat.
Well, not a back seat. I didn't say back seat, but in terms of it's Panorama is almost as important. You make sure that you get there.
Yeah, something like that.
Time factor. Let's talk a bit about your experience in St. Vincent with Seion Hill. How did that come about? Is it the first time? It's always interesting when arrangers go to different islands in the Caribbean and things work out.
Well, actually, what happened was the organization in St. Vincent called the Pantry Bagel and asked Pantry Bagel for somebody to do a lecture series, a kind of workshop, right? And I was called to go to the workshop. I went and I did the workshop, and before leaving, the president of the association asked me if I would like to come and work with his band. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not, And I went the first year, and I did me, without even, thinking and kind of observing the surroundings in terms of the competition itself, And we went and we delivered, We will play second that year.
Which year was that?
That was 2009 or 2008. I played second. And I went back home and thought to myself, I didn't even sit and observe the competition, the way things are done, And I would sit and reminisce and try to go through everything that we did, what I could have done better or different, The second year though, I took a keen eye and I kind of looked at my surroundings and, did the arrangement.
And tailored
Yeah,
to the environment, yeah.
And we won that year. That was 2009. We won 2010 and we won 2011.
So essentially you have a three-peat under your belt with St. Vincent. Seion Hill. Well, congratulations. As I said, quite an impressive body of work.
Music is all well and good, but I must say, the players, the band itself, they understood what they were up against
And what they wanted to
and what
achieve.
they wanted to achieve, and they worked towards that, And from 2008 to now, the band has definitely made a difference in terms of the way they would do things, in terms of their musicianship, how they approach rehearsals, stuff like that. It's big up to Seion Hill Studio.
And it's quite a large band. It's a 95 to...
No. It's like about 60.
60?
Yeah.
Okay.
Relatively small.
So what is the average size of the band then?
Well, the panorama there isn't that big, But I think Seion Hill was like one of the biggest bands, along with Starlift.
And they came second,
They came second.
There's usually a little tug of war between those two bands.
Well,
Seion Hill and Seon, but you've been ruling the roost for the last 3 years with the band.
We've done our homework,
You'll be back next year.
God's alive.
willing. So what's next for Seion Gomez after the New York Panorama? And I know you go back to the University of Trinidad and Tobago.
Get some much needed
R&R.
because Carnival 2012 is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
What are your commitments thus far? Do you know yet? Can you say?
Well, Buccaneers, Meritones, Buccaneers, another band that they work hard towards their
From Tobago?
goals from Tobago, and I must say, they are forced to be reckoned with. And
Yes.
whenever we come out, not saying that we're going to be the champions all the time, but when we're done, we will be, well appreciated.
Your presence would have been felt, a force to be reckoned with.
Well, if you could put it that way too.
I would think so. Where would you like to be, say, 5 years from now? In
5
terms
years
of
from now,
your career and everything else.
My dream is to actually see Hannes come to a pioneer with a score, or an arranger come to a pioneer with a score and just hand out music,
Literacy.
Yeah, it's the goal. That's the goal, because you tend to see pan musicians getting left behind in terms of the music literacy. It happened with me, and I kind of caught myself. I'm from Trinidad. I'm supposed to be one of the better pan people, and it didn't happen that way. I had to read, and I had to learn to do it properly. And I could never regret that. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I would love to see young pan musicians reading and writing music. It takes the whole fraternity to a higher level.
Also on the global scale.
Right. So that's my dream, that's my hope, that's my wish.
Alright. What else would you like to talk about in terms of the steelband culture, art form, anything that impacts you personally, or as you see the entire movement as a whole?
before we go into that, I always forget. No, I don't always forget, but I always try to remember to mention a couple of people who got me, started. The first person is a lady by the name of Dr. Iva Gudo. She is actually the person who got me started at NIU. Alright. I mean, I was a teenager, just finished UB, home, doing basically just playing band, And she was very instrumental in setting up the NIU, stuff. I applied, I got accepted, and then she was instrumental in getting the Fitzruna company from Germany.
The part
The part scholarship, So I must and always will say thank you to her. If it wasn't for her, I don't know where.
It'll be a bit of a different track, possibly.
Probably. And the other person I would like to thank officially is Mr. Richard Photo from Pantry River. He gave me my first outing in terms of national panorama in Trinidad and Tobago. When I was about to finish NIU, he came up on official business from Pantry River, and he heard one of my arrangements the steelband was playing, and he asked me to come and do some music with his band, which was Courts, the sound specialist at the time. And I went and I did some stateside work. Then he asked if I would do a festival piece for them. I did it. Then he asked if I would do panorama, and right, and that kind of got my feet wet, and
to the next level.
Right.
And
I always thank all the people that would have given me that opportunity to start and to go forward, I thank them very much, very, very much, Mary Tones, Buccaneers, Sandhill, Metro.
Yeah. Which arrangers have had a significant impact, or do you consider you influenced somewhat by?
Well,
and also which type of music in different genres do you also listen to? Anything that makes Seon who he is.
I started playing with Phase 2 Bamboo. I played with Phase 2 for quite a number of years. So Lucy Sharp would be one of my main mentors in terms of music, And growing up, musically, Clive Bradley, classic. Jit Samaru, classic. Robbie. I would always just sit and listen to these guys, how they would do things different. While I was at NIU, one of my projects was actually to compare three arrangers, and see how they would deal with motivic developments, modulations, minors, stuff like that, And in doing that, it was really amazing to me, Sometimes very simple but very effective. Bradley had that on people, that simplicity, but effective, And I kind of was drawn to him musically. Then when you listen to Jit Samaru, these guys in my book, these guys were geniuses or are geniuses, and we as a young crop coming up, we will always have to say thanks to them because they got us to this level. Right? So we know the same. Take it to a different level where somebody coming up
will look to you guys
right,
as well.
So these guys were very important and instrumental in the process of the steelband arena,
Right, so in terms of other genres of music, you know, what do you listen to, and you know, what impacts you?
I got a real liking for jazz when I was at school, and then I must admit I never liked it. You know, to me it didn't make sense. But when I got the opportunity to actually sit and listen, analyze,
And
and
with your
learn,
musical literacy, the
Right.
understanding,
you know, I was just, you know,
captivated.
yeah. Jazz,
Yeah.
I mean, that is music, good music, you
Yeah, I
know.
hear that.
And well, from there, I love to listen to Latin, Afro-Cuban, you know, classical. Can't leave the classical music. You know.
Are you going for your doctorate at any time soon?
Well, no. This is a very tricky answer because there are a couple people who every time I know there's one gentleman every time he sees me. So when you're going to do your doctorate, like don't worry now, man. So you know, so I was actually planning to go and get it done. You know, it's something you have to kind of put in place.
Yeah.
Because I have kids and stuff, you know, so I have to make sure I know.
Got
some
you.
stuff.
Understood. Well, Seon, thank you very, very much. It's a good experience, a real pleasure sitting down and speaking to you, you know, in the flesh. It's always more illuminating when we can share with the global steelpan community actually on camera. We wish you nothing but the best. Of course, the best in the upcoming New York Panorama, and keep evolving.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
very much.
When Steel talks, everybody listens.